So in this pocket, I've got a tool that will allow you to check the weather, check your focus, compose your shots, find out where you are, record where you are, and a whole host of other things. And what I want to do in this video is explain it a little bit more, explain how I use this tool, and tell you why I think it's probably the best photography tool of the 21st century. So if I asked you which of these do you think will improve your photography most, then the obvious answer is probably the camera, because you think, well, without a camera I can't take photo. But it's not about what you need to take photos, but which will improve your photography most. And I know for certain that the thing that's improved my photography most is this, because this can help with the things that are most difficult in photography. And from the video that I did the other week, we know that they are composition and scouting and understanding what locations to go in. And it's the phone that can help with those the most. It's the apps on the phone that allow you to do those. And what I want to do in this video is go through 7 things that I think really are so valuable with the phone. I'm going to go through, share some apps that I use, and talk a little bit more about how I get the most out of those apps. So if we take a look at this, then the general roadmap of when you take a shot is that you research the shot, you then plan the shot, you go and scout it, maybe go back a few times, then you go and you want to try and find a composition, you take the photo, you edit it and you review it. And it's the phone that makes a big difference in all these. Now, obviously you could do this with a notepad, but a notepad doesn't have GPS, a notepad doesn't allow you to take photos. This is everything in one. It really does make such a huge difference to your photography. So the first point, probably not the most important, but it's just research. You know, using your phone to do research. You can do that in a whole host of ways. Instagram being the obvious one, going on to Instagram, looking at a hashtag or a location and seeing other shots that people have taken. Now, I'm not saying that you go and copy those shots, but it gives you an idea of what the location's like. I do that all the time. Just, you know, it might be a local area, it might be an area in a country I've not visited before. Just using Instagram in that way is really, really good. And then you can do research on Google Maps, Street View, which I'll talk about later in the planning part. You can look at things like forums and podcasts, you know, download a podcast to your phone and listen to it when you're in your car. You know, that's another good way of using your phone to improve your photography. There's lots of other things. Flickr. Does anybody use Flickr anymore? Let me know in the comments below if you use Flickr. But there's loads of tools to do research for your photography. So the other thing that's super useful with your phone is planning. And there's a number of apps that I use for planning trips to a new location. And this, I've not been to this location before in the Peak District. And so I looked at these apps specifically for this trip. So the first is weather, and wherever I go, I'm always looking at the weather. And the 2 weather apps that I predominantly use are Weather Pro and Clear Outside. And Clear Outside is the best for helping me predict things like fog, checking what the high, the medium and the low cloud is, and that makes a really big difference. So, you know, once I've decided that the weather's good and you know, I looked at it and I could see that tonight the weather was going to be really good. We had some cloud cover, but it was clearing from the west, so it was perfect for a sunset. Then you can start to scout the location. And And so what I did to plan this location is looked at Google Maps. I looked at an Ordnance Survey map as well, using outdoor GPS, which is a UK specific one, but you'll probably have similar types of maps in your own country as well. And then the other thing, when you want to see what the light's going to be like on the environment that you're going to, then there's a fantastic app on your phone called TPE 3D. And what it means is that you can change the time of day and you can see how the light's going to fall on the land. So you can see if it's going to hit the side of the mountain, what the vista's going to look like from when you get to the location. It makes a really, really big difference to how you go about the planning. So those apps are really, really helpful. So once you've done your planning, then maybe you're going to a new location, you want to go and scout it, and that's where the phone comes into its own. And I quite often do this when I'm walking pebbles, or if I'm just going to a new location, and I'm always looking for new shots, and I use my phone to take those photos, and then I actually pin those photos and attach them to Google Maps so that I have then a record of all the locations I've been to. So for instance, here on this walk, I noticed there's lots of stone walls. So I've been taking pictures of the stone walls as we've come in different locations. I can study those photos on my computer at home, and then I can have a better idea of whether it's good to go back to it. So for instance, this shot here where I was climbing on the stile, I found, you know, a really nice shot, and I think it might look even better at sunrise, even though it did work at sunset as well. So I'll tag that in Google Maps and I'll tag it as a sunrise and a sunset shot. And by doing that, then you've just got a really good database of locations that you can go back to. So the fifth thing, and probably the most important thing, and the reason that I love using my phone for photography so much, is composition and trying to help you find compositions. It's one of the things that when I'm on workshops that the attendees of the workshops are most surprised about, because I get my phone out before I get my camera out. Before I get even my phone out, I actually look around the scene, have an apple, just take in the scene. But then just using your phone is so much better than using your camera to try and find a composition. Eventually you will use your camera, but starting with your phone is better. The reason being is that the screen on your phone is just so much bigger, it's brighter, it's better quality, so you can see what you're looking at so much better. I feel like it's freer as well. You can just move around like this and that makes it freer. It's a perfect sort of focal length, around about 24 to 28 millimeters. You can also get lens attachments, or on with the really new iPhone 11 now and some Android phones, and you have a wide angle camera as well. And so what I do is I'll just, you know, we've got a scene here with this rock here, and there's a road with a really nice S-curve on it, and then shuttling slow the mountain in the background. You know, the light's setting over there, we've done all the planning and everything's coming together. But now it's a question of just working out where you want to be. And you know, you could close one eye, you could do this with your fingers, but actually holding your phone up and then just moving. So, you know, I think, okay, I might want to go a little bit higher. So I might want to move up here and see what it's like. You know, you can soon do it. You can then take a photo of it. So it's really easy, you know, to take a photo and then have a look at that photo, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, because being able to take that photo and then review it before you do the final composition is a little bit like having a look at your photos when you get back to Lightroom. And as if you're anything like me, when you get back to Lightroom, you're taking your photos on your big camera, you tend to have more disappointment than being happy. And this gives you that iterative approach to be able to have a look at it on your phone and then think, okay, I need to move left or right, or there's a stick in the way. So you're sort of removing yourself from the situation of taking the photo. So what I do is I take a few different compositions, go and sit down somewhere else, review them, and then I'd probably get out my tripod, get out my camera and start to take some shots. So it's a brilliant compositional tool, and I definitely recommend that you should use it. So we've done all the research, the planning, and it's all looking really good, apart from the clouds have disappeared. But apart from that, the light's exactly where we thought it was going to be. We found a composition. I've taken some shots on my phone and sort of fine-tuned it. So now I've set my tripod up. And the final thing is you can use your phone to help you with things like focus and long exposure. So I really like Photo Pills. I have no affiliation to them whatsoever, but it's a great app, it's really clear, and it's great if you're trying to understand focus. So for instance here, I want to make sure I get everything in focus, the wall and the distance there. So I just plug all my details into Photo Pills, and I'm actually going to focus on infinity. I plug that in and it says that the closest thing in focus will be 2 meters away. So I know that focused on infinity, everything at 24mm f10 is going to be in focus. And I know that because I look at my phone. Now, I don't have to do that every time, but by looking at it time after time after time on location, it's meant that I start to understand it a little bit more. It's improved my photography. So the phone makes a massive difference to you. It really, really can improve your photography. And I believe it's the best photography tool of the 21st century. Oh, the bloody phone again.